Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday, usually at noon. This time I did it a little earlier because, I had to do a meet and greet, which, by the way, great to see all of you guys. That was awesome. Thank you so much. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. They have 40,000 therapists working with them, for them. They're awesome. I've gotten great feedback from people using them. They're very happy with their therapists, which makes me happy. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, today's question was, you talked about abuse amnesia. Can you talk about reactive abuse? Okay, so first of all, I don't think it's abuse, because what's happening is the abuser is poking, and finally the target of abuse just goes boom and explodes and yells at them and tells them to stop and whatever. The abuser at that point will then clutch their pearls. How dare you yell at me? You're abusive. When in reality, they've been sitting there going poke, 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 and finally, the target of abuse has enough and gets mad, which anyone would do. So it's no different than when you have a reactive dog, right? The dog is reactive probably because some human has abused them. Don't get me started. Oh my God. Anyway. So if there's, a reactivity going on, it's because we're being abused and we're reacting to the abuse. But then the abuser, like I said, will clutch their pearls. You're the abuser. That's what they do because they're a-holes. Don't get me started. So anyway, the point being is that it's not, first of all, it's not abuse. Let me be clear. You are simply responding to being poked at over and over and over and over again. Now, obviously, if you're doing something abusive like spitting or screaming or, not necessarily screaming, but slapping or, that's abusive. Don't do that. But if you just had it, you've just had it and you get angry, that's normal. But an abuser will declare your anger abusive, even though they've been screaming at you for the last 6 hours. So that's reactive, quote unquote, abuse. It's not abuse. It's because here's the deal. Everybody has got their limits. Even saints, I would imagine, have their limits. You keep poking, you keep poking, you keep poking. You do something stupid. The person has had enough. And they basically lay down the law and they draw a boundary and they say, stop, no more, we're done. But they say it angry because they're angry. Then the abuser, as I said, will flip the script, make you feel crazy, tell you you're the abuser because you're screaming at them. It's perfectly okay for the abuser to scream at you, but it's not okay for you to yell at them. Anybody else see the problem with that? So that's called reactive, quote unquote, abuse. It's not really abuse. The abuser says it's abuse, but it's not abuse. You're having a normal reaction and response to somebody getting up in your face and screaming at you. So that's not abuse. But like I said, when you're dealing with a dark triad, okay, you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a psychopath, you're dealing with a control freak, you are going to be living in upside down and backwards world. It's like Alice through the looking glass. Everything is topsy-turvy. So they will say up is down, left is right, green is yellow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you yelling at them, calling them out for what they've done is abusive. No, it's not abusive. It's not. It's just that how dare you? That's their attitude. How dare you? How dare you call me out on my own nasty behavior? I'm going to accuse you of that. It's called projection. So reactive abuse is truly projection on the part of the abuser because it's a normal human response. When you're attacked, when you're, poke, 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 and it's nasty. It's not just like when little kids poke you, right? But why? But why? But why? Annoying, to be sure, but there's no malintent with it. Okay, but with an abuser, oh, it's intended to be hurtful, harmful, hateful, etc., etc., etc. So they poke, they poke, they poke, they poke, they poke, they poke, they poke. You lose it. You're like, stop it. And they go, oh, you yelled at me. How dare you? It's pathetic. Honest to God, it's like the worst chewing of the scenery acting you have ever seen in your life. That's what narcissists do. To flip the script, to project, to make it somehow your fault that you're yelling no when they've been abusive. So that's what reactive abuse is. It's not abuse. It's a normal human reaction to somebody coming up in your face and poking and screaming and scratching and all of that stuff, verbally, physically, emotionally, or otherwise. It's a normal reaction to be like, stop, right? But then they get pissed. How dare you? How dare you tell them no? That's the one word in the English language that no narcissist can stand. They cannot stand the word no. Healthy, normal people go, oh, okay. No, okay. Or, gee, I didn't mean to yell at you. Or, gosh, I'm sorry. Or, whatever. No. Narcissists never admit, one, that they're wrong. Two, they never apologize. And three, they will project when caught in a bad behavior because they can never admit that what they did was wrong. And so they make it about you. And so they flip the script. You're the problem. You guns. You yelled at me. You're abusive. You're this, you're that, you're the other thing. And the thing of it is we've been so brainwashed. Like, seriously, like, we don't even know what to think because we've been hearing the same brainwashing over and over and over again. We start doubting our sanity and we start going, am I abusive? Am I the abusive one? I've had so many clients come in and tell me similar stories. The abuser was poking at them and yelling at them and slamming doors and this, that, and they finally had enough, and then they turned around and yelled at them, and the abuser breaks down into 100 million tears. You're the abuser. It's like, whoa, and they'll be like, am I the abuser? Am I abusive? Am I? Oh my God, I don't want to be that, So here's the thing. Abusers don't worry about being an abuser. That doesn't bother them. In fact, very little does because, no empathy. It's kind of a thing. So, that they project, they flip the script as soon as they realize they've been caught. They flip the script and become the victim, and now you're the abuser. So that is quote unquote reactive abuse. You're not being abusive. They're projecting. They're the ones that are abusive. They're doing the you guns, and that's the only way they can get out of that situation, honestly, because they can't get out of the situation because you called them on it. And so in order to be right, in order to quote unquote win, because remember, a narcissist has to win at everything, they flip the script, make you the abuser, you're bad, you're wrong. You're left now with cognitive dissonance because you're sitting here going, am I abusive? Holy shimoly, whoa, wow, upside down world, what the heck? So now you've got some cognitive dissonance going on and you're doubting yourself. That was their entire goal. To get out of being caught red-handed, being abusive. They projected all of their stuff onto you. Now you're questioning yourself and you're more easily, manipulated. And that's their goal. That's why they do what they do. That's why they flip the script in the middle of you calling them out on their abuse because, well, I can't be abusive. You're abusive. You're the abusive one. But of course, they don't do it like, that grandiose. They're more along the lines of, you scream at them, they break into a million tears, and then accuse you of being the abuser. Because they're playing the victim. Remember, they switch between whatever they need to get their needs met. So if making you wrong, they need to go into the victim role, they'll go into the victim role. So there it is. All right, my loves. You guys have a great week. So next week, I was going to talk about self-care. That was what I was going to talk about, right? Self-care? Yeah. So self-care, things that you can do for self-care, what it looks like, how it feels, the different things you can do. It doesn't have to be expensive. It really just doesn't. So And we're going to talk about the psychological part of it. We're going to talk about the physical part of it, because self-care is not just hot baths and manicures. It's like taking care of your brain, your emotions, your body, the whole thing. So we're going to talk about it. So anyway, that is it. Have a great week, and I will talk to you guys at the normal time, which is 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk about self-care, body, mind, and spirit. All right, talk to you later. Bye.